कभी कभी वो इधर बनता है फिर ऐसा तो हाँ हाँ जब काम होता है तो हाँ।
Hello. Yeah, I got it. I'm online already. I'm online. Yeah. ఇంకా స్టార్ట్ కాలేదా?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Smarajit Memorial event. And this is the 13th event we are celebrating. Every year we celebrate Ray Memorial event, remembering Sri Smarajit Ray who was an ideal officer. So in remembrance of Mrs. Smarajit Ray, every year we celebrate topic. So this year it is translation and marketing of organic farming products. We would like to invite all the dignitaries to please light the lamp and start the event.
Now you want to come for the right?
Yes.
What is the
That is. Sorry, now.
Finished mine. Testing all the dignitaries. Please say your names. Thank you.
I'm good here. Fine.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. Once again, I welcome you all to Smarajit Ray Memorial event. So Smarajit Ray was born on 14 July 1943 at Kalimpong in West Bengal. Ray was a product of Presidency College in Calcutta, where he studied political science and the Delhi School of Economics, where he studied sociology. He joined the Indian Administrative Services in 1967 and was allergic to Andhra Pradesh. In 1972, he married Anita Ray, a chartered accountant who got influenced and enjoyed district life due to Ray's incredible positive passion for rural development. In his efforts, Ray collaborated proactively with the civil society and key department layers and made a significant contribution in the areas of women empowerment through SDG, watershed development, tribal development, joint forest management, sustainable farming, environment, children's education, and so on. This 13th memorial event actually is a hybrid event where we have physical and virtual. It's a tribute and committing ourselves to continue the journey that we had initiated. So we have for this event, we have eminent speakers, Mr. Raj Seelam, who is the founder of State and Natural Bioproducts Private Limited, Ms. Anita Paul, who is the co-founder of Grassroots Development Organization, Mr. Bablu Ganguly, who is the founder of Timbuktu Collective, and Mr. Vivek Sahaja, from he's the Chief Business Officer from Cargo City Limited Private Limited.
Yes.
So here we have physically we have Raj Seelam sir and Vivek Sahaja sir. And Babu sir will be
আমি কি দেখি
joined
করার
us
চেষ্টা করছি আমি দেখুন যারা শোনা আছে
Sir, could you please mute your mic? Thank you, sir. I would like to request Reddy sir to share few words.
Good morning to all. Again, a very warm welcome to this memorial event. Also, I want to mention that the welcome is from AP Mass, and we have another project called Race of Hope. So this is an initiative supported by Mrs. Nandita Ray. In addition to she being the founding member of AP Mass, now she is a donor to AP Mass. So we want to really thank her. And this is particularly for supporting natural farming or sustainable agriculture to be done with some special focus on Anantapur district. Of course, now Anantapur is also converted into 2-3 districts, divided rather. So on this occasion of having the 13th event, in fact, we have had many eminent speakers speak as part of Smarajit Ray memorial events. The first being Dr. Y.V. Reddy, the former governor of Reserve Bank of India. And later we have had many, in fact, we keep track of who all speak. But most of the time our effort has been that the topics are always close to the heart of late Smarajit Ray. And I must also mention here that Mr. Ray was, in a way, instrumental and involved in the conceptualization and design of AP Mass. So his words of wisdom always inspire us, motivate us, and we think he lives through our actions, what we do in our large number of programs. Previously, predominantly focusing on women's empowerment around self-help groups and federations of self-help groups, but now focusing on further expanding our work to agriculture value chain development through farmers collectives. We also do quite a number of programs on nutrition, health, water, sanitation, hygiene. I think the COVID kind of made it apparent to us that hygiene and health are so important. And in India, we still face challenges of malnutrition as very significant. So in that sense, our work is always guided by what Mr. Ray used to tell us during our initial conversations. I was just mentioning to some of the speakers that he would say government is always very good at hardware, so they can build buildings, they can construct schools, colleges, infrastructure, but civil society organizations or NGOs are this is about social mobilization, institutional building, facilitating a strong demand system. So those are the words kind of always I remember whenever we have some conversations within the organization. And I'm really fortunate that we are able to continue with this tradition of having Smarajit Ray memorial event. So I won't say much more than that. I really want to thank the four panelists who have agreed, Raj Stilam. While it's called Shrestha, but it's more popularly known as 24-letter mantra. And we have Vivek Sehgal from the Kalgudi, and of course our well-known Bablu Ganguly from Timbuktu, and Anita from Grassroots. In fact, Anita has been doing a lot of work on engendering FPOs. How do we kind of bring focus on the role of women in agriculture, the role of women in developing farmers collectives as a business enterprises. So I welcome all the panelists. I welcome our vice chairperson, Ms. Mahaparali. I welcome Nandita ji. I also welcome some of the board members and friends and known persons of Mr. Ray who have joined virtually. We also have Mr. Ramana, who is a board member and deeply involved with us on marketing of agricultural produce. He would kind of also say a few words. So without me taking too much time, I want to really say that I am very happy that we are having this event. And this event is addressing a particular challenge that we are facing in the sector today. A large number of farmers in the country, and particularly in the Telugu states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, adopting natural farming. But I think they face the real challenge of not having avenues for marketing. So whenever we go and talk to the farmers involved in natural farming or organic farming or whatever the different terminology one uses, they say, yes, we do a lot of effort to not use chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides, but when we take the produce to the market, the price is the same that is paid to the other commodities. We do know that there are certain sections of the society who are willing to pay a premium on the produce that doesn't have any chemical residue, but connecting the producers of natural produce and the consumers has been a challenge. And all our panelists have, I think, done some exemplary work over the years of not only demonstrating how it can be done, but how it can be done at scale. So I think the hope is that we'll all be learning from them and understanding how we can facilitate marketing of the produce by the farmers, possibly directly, also through their collectives in terms of farmer producer organizations, maybe federations of farmer producer organizations. So I think that's the kind of purpose. And I hope APMAS as an organization, because we are involved with almost now 250 FPOs in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Bihar. So I think we can greatly support and incubate them to take up this work of marketing the output, marketing the produce. We as an organization also believe that the way forward is to move towards natural farming. I think not for too long we can continue the usage of excessive usage of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. We also are deeply So again, welcome, and I'm really looking at moderation. We keep to time, and there is sufficient time of some discussion towards the presentation. So. To just say a few words as opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I really will restrict my words to a few, but I would like to say this, that I'm by profession a banker, a commercial banker. And after I retired, in the last 7 years or so, I have been associated with AVMA. And so I have come to the other side of the table. But when I was on the other side, meaning in the finance side also, I did realize as we worked with self-help groups that the weak link, the whole chain was the marketing. So when I joined AVMAS and I see the work that we do with the farmers and with those in the rural hinterland, I think it's significant. It's big work. Big work, not only because our unorganized sector is so huge, and so we have so many small farmers, 85 to 90% of our farmers are small, owning less than 5 hectares. So that is, that's the work that we really need to do. We need to work with them. And as we work with them, we also realize, Mr. Reddy mentioned health, hygiene, organizing their lives around community. Not only that, but we were earlier with self-help groups, now we are with FPOs. We are doing significant work in the 3 states, Telangana, AP, and Bihar, with the FPOs. Now we are not only getting recognized by those at the bottom of the pyramid for the kind of handholding that we do, the kind of organization that we do, the kind of help we do to help themselves. But even at the policy level, AVMAS is today getting recognized by governments and often invited, not to mention, I was telling Mr. Reddy that he's collecting 1 award a day. He says we are not taking some of the awards, which would otherwise probably come to us, which is a recognition. But the work is huge. The work is really huge. And today we are talking of organic farming. Now, organic farming is something which the world recognizes as the right way to go. Everybody today is concerned about health, about what we consume. In India also that understanding is growing. 60 to 70 more engaged with producing more. So we use fertilizers, pesticides, etc. But today we are talking about what we consume and how good it is for our health. And when we do that, I think it is the right way forward. And in the West, organic products fetch more for the farmers, but in India, it doesn't exactly do that. And I think that awareness has to grow. The links in the chain have to be strengthened, and that's exactly where AVMAS functions. It's exactly where it helps the links to fall in place. Our speakers today are in the field, have been in the field, and have slowly made reputation for themselves. So we are very, very happy to have them with us. Since I AVMAS, I've been hearing of 2 names. One is Mr. Yugandhar and the other is Mr. Smarajit. So, and I have come to know that way before their times, they were in the right area, they had the right thinking, and they were engaged with this sector and what it does. So I'm indeed very happy to be here today, and I'm very happy that our speakers have consented to join us and increase our awareness and knowledge in this field. We have a long way to go, but I hope we will get there. The cooperative movement has been successful in many parts of India, and we hope that it will gather steam as we go along. We hope that we will be able to help our FPOs to get there we know that they need technology, they need marketing, they need organization, and of course finance, which the banks are there for. So we hope we will be able to help them to get the right linkages, and we hope the first step I think both for the consumers and for the ones who use awareness. And that's what this today, this talk today, all of our speakers are about. So thank you, speakers. Thank you, Mrs. Ray, for being with us.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your kind words. I would request Mr. N.V. Ramana sir to give to talk the words on EPIMA's efforts on output marketing.
Oh, good morning to everybody. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Audible.
Yeah. Thank you. EPIMAS had been working with collectives for decades, started with women groups and then started aggregating agri-commodities and started marketing them. But later on, as we entered the farmers collectives, which were based on either watershed group or independently, we figured it out that unless you get more price for the same product, we will not be really able to do much to the farmers in helping them doubling the APMAS had been doing this both output as well as output marketing at FPO level for last 4 or 5 years, and really succeeded during the pandemic in supplying a lot of tomatoes to the corporates, and also trying to add dried products through solar drying, etc. While this effort is only a preliminary, now I have some of my senior colleagues in the industry like 24 Mantra, Kalgudi, and also Bablu Ganguly, whom I have been familiar with and their work. They've been really working with the collectives to make sure that they add value to their own livelihoods. So increasing the income or making sure these products reach the different places. Our effort will be in continuing this effort with the partnership with such great people who have been working on the grounds in terms of value addition. And given the current context that 1/3 of our agriculture in India need to get other markets other than India, this is the right time we start getting those certification of good products, make sure that products meet the consumer market, either it is discerning local or even international markets. The efforts made by these kind of works to be, I want my colleague speakers to talk about it. I'm sure I've learned a lot from them, and I require 100 more we require for country. And our effort will be to make sure that APMAS FPOs can be the lighthouses and which can be replicated across India depending on the product and the kind of market that we can address to. I don't want to spend too much time, but we did a lot of work at the ground, but still much more to be done. So I'm glad that during this Race Up's memorial lecture, we added these two great processes of working with the stakeholders and also adding value through organic. And somebody like Babluji's experience on the ground, how do I add value to the current produce? I stop here, but I want to really understand and share their experiences, and also at some point of time we may want to share our own experiences. But it's a great occasion, and we have been doing this every year, and I'm sure this year it will be much more value to the people who are working in the collectives across India. Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Again, he has been really guiding AVMAS in the outward marketing by linking with the retail chains and terminal markets, also with some of the processing industries. It's an area for further exploration. I would say AVMAS, we are not able to even market 5% of the produce of the FPOs that we work with, particularly when it comes to perishable commodities, fruits and vegetables. Non-perishable commodities, I think the success has been reasonably good. But when it comes to perishable commodities, I think there has been a huge challenge. So, for example, processing industries only process when the price is very low. They will not buy any produce for processing when the price is high. And even retail chains want, or all the buyers want the produce at the lowest possible price. And whereas when it goes to the consumer, the price may be already 2 or 3 times. In some cases, could be even 4 times. So our effort through FPOs and their federations is how do we maximize the consumer rupee to be made available to the farmers so that they are able to increase their incomes. So I think thanks Ramna for sharing those thoughts. I'll request Mrs. Nandita Ray. I think again, she has been a pillar of support to AVMAS from the time of being the founder, and has stayed with us and asked very difficult questions in the board meetings. She continues to be with us as part of our not-for-profit company, Sarika Foundation. So I request her to share a few thoughts before we really get down to the speakers.
Just hold it. Well, I'm more used to it, but I no.
Yeah, it's on.
It's on. Okay. Everyone.
You just need to hold it closer.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So you here. We didn't have meetings at all. And
Closer, please.
closer still. Sorry. And you have all read about my deep involvement with various aspects of development, with small and marginal farmers. And towards the latter part of his life, he also got involved, along with myself, with aspects of dryland farming and organic agriculture, notably in the erstwhile state of Anantapur, now being divided, and in the area of Satya Sai district. I don't want to say anything very much because we really are waiting to hear from our eminent speakers on the subject of the various challenges being experienced with organic farming, which is the subject of today's discussion. And notably, it's not just marketing, but the entire value chain as well. I just want to mention one particular issue in this whole problem. which I think is very basic and which should not be underestimated, because I feel that organic farming has a fundamental difference with the, well, I don't know what to call it, whether it's industrial farming or irrigated agriculture, but or mainstream agriculture, which is now mainstream, of monocropping, assured irrigation, high use of chemical pesticides and fertilizers, which seems to have reached a kind of plateau. But it has in the process, while it has helped with our public distribution system in the past, has in fact knocked out a lot of our traditional farming systems, and on which the bulk of the country still depends, both for its food as well as for the livelihoods of its many farmers, who are small and marginal farmers, in which my husband was particularly interested. And so, because of the fact that the mainstream methods of farming, and the more visible one, therefore, there is now, because of it having reached a kind of plateau vis-a-vis productivity and soil depletion and reduction in the water table, that there is a revival of interest in natural farming. But at a time when a lot of farmers have in fact forgotten some of the traditional methods and have not yet learned the modern techniques of doing these things. So it is that has created a particular problem, because mainstream farming involves monocropping, while organic farming is basically multi-cropping, and which makes it also more difficult to promote, because there are too many crops and so many mix of, and it is actually the more difficult form of farming now. And therefore, people find it all those who are interested in promoting it. And although the demand for it may be increasing, it's very difficult to maintain that supply chain, because it's not just enough to have demand. One has to have the supply as well, at the right place at the right time. So, I mean, other than this, the other problems like certification problems, accessing small farmers' access to markets, and other issues involved in organic farming will all be discussed by our eminent speakers, whom we are all waiting to listen to. And I'm particularly interested in listening to how they have managed to meet with the challenges of organic farming in its many aspects, notably on the marketing side. So I think we need to somehow keep that underlying problem of its complexity in mind. And also the fact that in the light of climate change, there is become a very, almost an existential need to go back to that kind of farming, which is both traditional and now increasing more and far more knowledge and finish carry it forward. Thank you very much, and leave the floor to people who know far more about the subjects than I.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Ray, for those nice words, and I'm sure it has given some pointers to the family. Bablu Ganguly from Anantapur Timber Collectives, who is virtually in the meeting, he wants to rush to some other engagement. Raj, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, please.
Although Bablu has a lot of, what should I say, personal stories to tell about his association with late Smarajit Ray. So maybe we'll listen to him briefly and then move on to Raj. Bablu, over to you, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, CS. Thank you, AP Mas and Likita, for inviting us to this event. Actually, for me, this is a very special event, and though CS and Mrs. Ray have personally invited me many times for various reasons, I was unable to speak. This time too, while AP Mas has asked us to present the work of the collective in the sphere of value addition and marketing, I must first say a few words about my relationship with Mr. and Mrs. Ray, which has spanned over about 4 decades now. As you all know, Mr. Ray came to AP, Penakonda and Anantapur district as the sub-collector in early 1970. He and Mrs. Ray met in Sonia at that time, a friendship that has lasted over 5 decades. I came to Penakonda only in 1978 to work with Narendra Bedi and Young India Project. And it was through him that I got introduced to the Rays, I think around 79. By then, I think Mr. Ray had already finished his stints as collector and was posted to Delhi. But then my memory is also fading. In AP, the civil society knew him as this very approachable IAS officer who could get things done and take action. And he was, of course, a great advocate of many things. But the idea of the women's self-help groups and, of course, the watershed development, which he was a champion of. And quite honestly, he pushed many of us into the watershed program of Andhra Pradesh. Large number of groups went into this watershed program. What very few people talk about or maybe know was about his interest in alternate and eco-friendly energy. He inaugurated the first windmill in Ramgiri area nearby here, the wind farm, which now has hundreds and hundreds of windmills in the area. But he came and inaugurated the first windmill and was very excited about it. Over the years, while I was working with Young India Project, as we took up land strikes, wage strikes, in those days we were doing a lot of that, mass rallies along with various dharnas and marches, we always knew that if we ever got into trouble, there was this one IAS officer who we could call on to get us out of trouble. In 1990, when Mary and I started the Timbuktu Collective, I think the Rays were one of the first visitors to the barren piece of land that we called, that we had bought and called Timbuktu. We were living in a small little house in Chenakothapalli village at that time, and they suddenly landed up. And you know how it is when these IAS officers land up. We did not have enough place to sit them down and have a coffee, offer a cup of tea. So we borrowed some chairs and sat outside. I took them to Timbuktu, about 3 kilometers away. And I remember this conversation.
If you can turn off maybe your video because your, I think bandwidth is low. So it's breaking up.
So maybe I should just remove my video.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I hope this is better.
Now we can hear it better.
Yeah, so I remember this conversation, and Mr. Ray, he said to me in Bengali, Bablu, eta ki korecho? Bhebe chinte korecho to? What he meant was, Bablu, what have you done? I hope you have thought about everything and done this. And I remember replying, saying that, no, Dada, no real plan. I don't know if we will succeed and what the future holds for us. But I'm convinced that nature has the capacity to regenerate herself, and I have the capacity to learn about farming. So together we will see what life holds in store for us. And from then on, they started visiting us at least once every couple of years. We got to know each other quite well. And he kept saying how he would like to retire and come live in Anantapur district, as he was so much in love with that place. Then we found a piece of land next to Timbuktu. 5 of us, including Uzramma, Smituka Kothari, and all of us, we got together and bought these 16 acres of land that we called Itavanam. And as the years passed, Uzramma and the Rays decided to build a house in Itavanam to eventually shift in after Mr. Ray's retirement. Mary and I suggested that you build the house in Timbuktu instead, because it will be, we can all stay together. So the Rays and Uzramma then built a beautiful house, which was designed by a friend of ours, an architect called Golak. Unfortunately, Mr. Ray passed away soon after the inauguration and could not use that place. And with that, Mrs. Ray also gave up the idea of moving to Timbuktu until COVID hit us. Both Uzramma and Mrs. Ray were regular visitors to Timbuktu. So back to Mr. Ray, what was so endearing about him was that he was such a simple, down-to-earth person, and at the same time, so very cultured and gentle. And that was really so wonderful to see in one man. And he had this very sharp intellect. And what he saw once or experienced once, he understood very fast and always remembered what he had seen. He was always ready to listen to us and to new ideas and thoughts of development and progress of rural India. And we used to discuss quite often about what watershed development actually meant and what the politics of ecology really was. Smitu and I wanted to set up a land institute, and Mr. Ray and I talked about designing and setting up a model watershed that could be used to showcase and train farmers and government officials. However, we just could not get hold of land required at that time because we just didn't have enough money. After Mr. Ray passed on, Mrs. Ray was forced to sell a piece of property that her father had left to her. due to the expansion of the ring road around Hyderabad. She decided that to use a part of that money to buy in 2008 a 100-acre piece of land and hand it over to a trust that we call the Timbuktu Kutumbam Foundation, that we had set up to protect and regenerate that land and create an agroforest habitat and do experiments in organic farming. It's a lovely space now, and we invite you all to come and visit it someday. However, I have actually been, or we have been asked by AP Mas to speak about the work of Timbuktu Collective in the sphere of value addition and marketing of organic products, if I'm correct. I will not go on this. I will hand it over to my colleague, Mahesh, who is the CEO of Dharni Farming and Marketing Cooperative that the collective helped set up. And he will take this conversation forward. I'll be here for some more time, and then I'm sorry, I will have to leave. I did want to hear Anita and Raj and my friends, but unfortunately, I may not be able to stay that long. I hope that is okay, CS.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Mahesh?
Can you put up the presentation?
Yes.
There. Okay. Yeah. Timbuktu Collective is work. Can you all hear me? Yeah.
No, I think you have two instruments on in your location. So maybe Babu laptop on. So you have to, I think, turn off one of them so that we don't have an echo.
Okay. Is it echo coming now?
No, please go ahead.
No.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So Timbuktu Collective is working in Anantapur and Satyasai district, revitalizing the rural economy and ecologies. Next slide. Quickly move on the slides. Yeah. So where we are coming from is Anantapur, part of Andhra Pradesh, now Satyasai district. Once we are part of Vijayanagara Kingdom, Sri Krishna Devaraya's Vijayanagara Kingdom, the land, Anantapur land is full of lakes, forests, and precious stones. But now today, if we consider it, it's the most impoverished district and drought-prone district in India. And the average rainfall in Anantapur is little over 350 mm. Next. So this is a picture. If you see picture taken in 1991 in the summer, this is the how summer looks in Anantapur, very dry. Like you move on next. And like Bablu was talking about the Timbuktu place, group of Bablu and group of other people purchased 32-acre dry barren land and started working on it, load it to heal and regenerate. And then after 92 or 95, next slide. So 95, if you see, we have already established a school there, and a little bit of flora and fauna started coming to there. And next slide. So, and in 2010, if you look at that place, it has completely changed. Now, from 1991, 21 flora species to the in 2010, 400 flora species have come. This land we allowed it become, and then it is regenerated, and that's how now Timbuktu has become very good in that. So next. So Timbuktu Collective is registered in 1990 as a non-profit organization, and in 1992 we began work in 10 villages, and now if you see in 2022 we are working in 300 villages with 1,000 farmers around 37,000 families, and we have promoted 10 cooperatives. So our vision is to our vision is to rural communities live in we help rural communities to live in dignity and peace, and we work with marginalized people, landless labor, artisans, small and marginal farmers, among particularly the women, children, youth, and the persons with disabilities, Dalits and minorities. And we have several interventions. We work with women, Swashakti program. We work with children, Chiguru. We work with persons with disabilities, Milita program. We work with the nature conservation, Kalpavalli program. We work with landless laborers, Gram Siri program. And we all know very well about Dharani. We work with small and marginal farmers. We'll go on along in details about Dharani. And we also have pilot initiatives, and we have enterprise promotion also to promote to market the products developed by the cooperatives. We have a strategy to sustain our initiatives. We have formed the cooperatives. Each of our initiative has cooperatives, people's institutions to become sustainable and exist for a long time to come. And in that way, if you see, every program has cooperative. Dharani program has, Dharani intervention has Dharani farming and marketing cooperative, and Gram Siri similarly. Swashakti has 4 women cooperatives, and they federated to the Federation Mahashakti, and Kalpavalli also a cooperative, Milta. Like this, we have 10 cooperatives promoted. Timbuktu Collective has promoted 10 cooperatives. Next. So, interesting thing is that we are working with 30,000 families, like I said earlier, and this net worth of all these cooperatives is coming to around 50 crores, which is huge. The rural economy, 50 crores, we are like in Anantapur and Satyasai districts, we are working with. That's a huge success that Timbuktu Collective did with marginalized people in Anantapur district and Satyasai district. So coming to Dharani, we are working with small and marginal farmers, particularly promoting the organic farming in the Satyasai and Anantapur districts. And Dharani, I must say that we are part of IFOM international organization. So Dharani members, we are working with around 2,000 members. We are currently having 2,080 members working in 66 villages. Our farmers collectively own 11,000 acres of land. They're doing the organic farming in all these 11,000 acres. And we primarily focus on the millets. We also cultivate pulses. Our farmers also cultivate pulses, peanuts, rice, and vegetables, but our focus is majorly on the millets. So our farmers are Timbuktu Collective has put a lot of efforts to train our farmers on organic and biodynamic farming, and our farmers are well trained in the compost preparation, all that. So one of the biggest initiative that Timbuktu Collective has provided to the Dharani Farm Cooperative, Timbuktu Collective has provided 1,200 pairs of Halikar cows, native Halikar cows, to the farmers to encourage the organic farming in this area. This is, I think, one of the biggest program in India that anybody did for the farming to promote the organic farming. So our farmers also trained at the field level to get the knowledge on organic farming. These are picture from the one of the field level training at the farm level. Certification is very much important to promote the organic products. Our farmers are do PGS certification, PGS participatory guarantee certification, peer appraisal. Once the peer appraisal confirms the organic certification, then the Dharani procures. Dharani procurement, if you see here, it happens at the farm gate. Dharani vehicle goes to the farm gate and procures at the farm gate. And the last year, if you see, we have procured around 562 tons in a year, focusing majorly on the millets. And once the procurement happens, we store it in our godowns, and then also for the monthly requirement for the processing, it comes to the processing center at Chennai Kottapalli. We have 2 big things. One is machinery processing. Another big thing and most important thing is the manual processing. We engage local women in the manual processing. These are very, very skilled women. Dharani creates around 50,000 labor days in a year to engage manual processing of the millets and the other grains. And Dharani sells under the brand name Timbuktu Organic. We sell our products B2B, to the retailers. We have retailers in the South India particularly. around 460 retailers, more or less 45,000 consumers eat our products yearly. This is the we've also set up a solar 24 kilowatt solar setup to run the processing unit. And this is the one of the picture taken during the inauguration of the machineries in Dharani. This is the Dharani processing unit. And to manage this cooperative, we have a board of directors. Board of directors meet monthly and 5th of every month. And also we conduct annual general body meetings every year. This is the one of the picture during the annual general body meeting. Our honorary director of Dharani Cooperative, Bablona, is present during the monthly meetings and the annual general bodies and advises us. And here, if you see the most important thing that we are making a lot of value-added products. We are not directly selling. We are not trading. We are doing. I'm quickly moving. Yeah, I'm quickly moving.
Just wait. There is one car I believe parked somewhere blocking the road. 6285. So if someone is the owner of the
Okay,
car.
I'm just. Yeah, I'm quickly moving. So
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, these are if you see here a lot of value-added products from peanuts. We have a peanut oil from groundnuts. We have peanut oil, peanuts, and the salted peanuts, and the from the millets. If you see a lot of other products, murukulu, mixture, biscuits, all that are there. And one of the most important product of ours is also the wild honey. If you see there, the wild honey is also there. These are all our value-added products. And we also started getting into the previously we are mostly into the non-perishables. Now we are also starting getting into the perishables, vegetables and fruits, which we will be expanding it further. And we also to create awareness for the organic products and our products, we also conduct awareness camps, food demos in cities and towns. Our directors and the members also participate in the activities and create the awareness for the food products. Move on. And like I said, we mostly sell it to the our retail partners, which is B2B, and we also have a B2C. We own our own shop at Chennai Katpalli at the highway junction. We sell here directly to the consumers. This is our shop, and if you can see the inside view of shop, we have kept all our products inside there. We sell it from here, and this is all about Dharani. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to present about Dharani's work.
Thank you. It's very, very nice. I would say maybe one number you should mention is what has been the volume of output marketing. I think procurement you mentioned 562 metric tons last year. So, but I guess maybe towards the end of it, Mahesh, if you can stay on. Then maybe there might be questions that we may have. Is that okay, Mahesh? You will be there in the virtual meeting?
Yeah, I will be there. We can move on.
Okay. Thank you. So that is one experience from Timbuktu, which has grown organically and focused on organic farming. I think we will move on. I will invite Raj Neelam, the founder. I would say, this is the success story of doing something at scale. And I'm also hoping that he will also give us some tips about how we really, work with these farmer producer organizations at scale, and how he could play maybe some kind of a catalytic role or some incubation role for creating this kind of marketing channel for the farmers collective, so that more of the consumer rupee can go to the producer. So Raj, all yours. Thank you. So for the camera, you may want to see where you want Raj. Okay, presentation. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I think the presentation is not so important. So let me speak. We can perhaps use that as answer. Sorry. I said the presentation may not be so important, but let me speak about our learnings from our own experiences.
But maybe share a few numbers and then talk about G.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think it's an honor to be here at EPMAS and at the Smarajit event. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the color mic is maybe better.
Can you hear me? Better. Yeah, I said thanks for inviting me here. It's a real honor to be here. So what I'll do is, because I think the question comes as many of us have been doing organic farming, natural farming for many years.
Actually,
And a lot of times,
mic is downwards. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that.
yeah,
Yeah, that's better.
yeah. So I think a lot of us have been working on organic farming, natural farming for many, many years. And there's also a lot of disappointment that we are not able to market this and get the right value for the effort which is being put in. So the question comes, is there really some hope? So I think in that context, I'll present a few numbers and then after that I'll share our experience. Next slide. So, so one is, I think India is primarily a consumption economy. So 60.5% of our GDP is from private consumption. Then second is today about 20% of top households account for about 50% of the consumption. I guess as we go along, that will also continue to little bit change. And we always talk about middle class, but I think in the last 10, 15 years, there has been a real tangible change. Today, we have about 42.5% households which are classified as lower middle class, and another 30.6% households accounting for about 95 million as middle and upper middle class. Obviously, I think this may not the income levels here may not compare to a typical middle class in a country, but it's still reasonably good. And another important feature is obviously nuclearization of families, because earlier we had joint families, and if you wanted to introduce any new food or new thing, then it would be a real negotiation. So many people, and a lot of times they never get past gatekeepers in the home. So today, people have their choice and it becomes much easier. And the other important thing is obviously the work, women participation in work in India is very low, about 35, 40%, whatever. But it is continuously increasing and more so in urban areas. So that is another good factor. And COVID, we have seen a lot of behavioral change. And if you look at how the organic market developed worldwide is also something similar. So the organic movement started with the hippie movement in the 1960s. And then it really took off, I would say, in the 90s. One is, of course, the effect of cumulative effect, because the small number every year it goes 10%, 15% for a period of time becomes big enough for that 10% to make a significant difference. That and then every, I think worldwide, every, let's say, health scare kind of thing has really strengthened this movement. And whether it's a mad cow disease which happened or COVID, In fact, we saw a huge surge in demand. And perhaps one big advantage is, I think, whole new generation learned how to cook. Otherwise, a lot of people were only consuming, and in fact, I know a lot of youngsters, families, young families who didn't really have any operational kitchen because they would go to breakfast, lunch, and office, and then dinner, perhaps a Swiggy or Zomato would take care of that. So I think that was a very positive thing, and then we really saw a surge in demand. Some of it has continued to stay on. And I'm sure, of course, we don't wish that these things happen, but every time there is any good controversy, it reaches the response. And the food and grocery market is about 40 lakh crores, but most of it is loose. That means people still buy, most of it is loose. And one more effect of COVID has been acceleration in terms of buying packaged goods, even a dal or rice. People started buying more of packaged goods. So today, I think it's estimated, I'm sure it would have increased from 6 lakh crores to perhaps 8 lakh crores today. So, but that still accounts for only about 20%, 15 or 16% of the market. But that is accelerated, which is a good thing because people have become more conscious. Because there's also negative effect. When we started our own stores, we used to have these bins where people could actually take whatever they wanted rather than buying a packaged product. The idea was how do we reduce the economical footprint, reduce the cost, etc. But a lot of people are not willing to buy. So we have to remove all those things and then again put back packs in the stores. And out of the packaged food, out of the packaged food, 50% is actually processed food. Processed food could be biscuit, chocolates, confectionery, snacks, whatever. Health and wellness is again a big trend. I think in 2020, the market was estimated to be about 60,000 crores. And this is growing at the rate of 16% and is expected to reach about 1.27 lakh crores. So I think this is a very positive trend because I think organic today the way it fits into this kind of category, and the growth of that is also good for organic natural. And the categories which are growing are better for you. So organic natural is a better for you kind of category, then fortified, functional, free from pesticide, free from GMO or whatever, those kind of things, and natural, organic, all these things. And we believe this packaged processed food, as I said, is likely to grow. One is the home consumption, that is, you buy things and then consume at home. And second is out of home consumption, whether it is restaurants, cloud kitchens. This is a big trend. And I don't think we should ignore this. We should figure out how do we tap this as an opportunity to build more awareness and more consumption. And of course, we have been talking to a lot of restaurants, a lot of these cloud kitchens. Our success so far has not been great, but I guess we keep trying, and then some of them might start using these ingredients, and then that itself will boost the consumption. So, given all this, is there an opportunity for something like this? I believe these four trends. One is pesticide residues. About 55% of food we eat has residues higher than the allowable maximum residue limits by the law. So that is one thing. And of course, people's awareness about this is still less. Second is various estimates are there, and one of the estimates says about 14% of food we consume is adulterated. So whether it is mixing something in milk or in fact, every year we discover new things. A couple of years back, I think I was in the market, and then we were just investigating. We found even soap is colored with industrial dye. Because all of us have got used to only buying nice looking things, nice, we want it to be looking nice, and nature doesn't always allow that to happen. Then people resort to these kind of things. Even we found mustard seed is colored. Because what happens is during monsoons, etc., if the moisture is not right, then it will attract fungus. And to kind of cover it, people use a brown dye. So I think there are lots there are a lot of discoveries like this. And obviously, as we talk about the health awareness increasing. Third is when we started off, it was for us the modern format of sports was helpful in building awareness among consumers. Today, I think even e-commerce is playing that role, but between e-commerce and let's say the modern retail, which we talk about the markets, is still about 7-8%. But given a country of our size, every percent is like almost the scale of a small country. So there is one big advantage we have, and then which we should figure out how to be kind of exploit. And then of course the disposable incomes are increasing. Today we talk about average GDP per person being about $2,000, and we compare it with what has happened with China from $2,000, because that was like a transformation point from there for them, and from various economists etc. talking. Perhaps that could also be a transformative point for us, and we have actually seen this happen. What was not possible or feasible 10 years back, today is possible and feasible. And I'm sure what is not possible today will be possible 10 years down. Because people's incomes are increasing, and then we are present in about 40 countries. And we see wherever people have disposable incomes, then a lot of times the first one of the good things is to spend on better food, better clothing, better education, etc. So I'm sure all this will play out. So I believe if we do the right things, next 10 to 15 years, we can build this into almost a 70, 80 or a 80,000 crore kind of market. Today the domestic market is just about 2,500 crores. Out of that, the organized branded is only about 500 crores, and the balance 600 crores, 700 crores. The balance people consume as goods. Kind of. I'm talking about the organic food market. So I think yes, there is a potential for explosive growth, but will this happen automatically? Not going to happen. All of us will have to put at all levels lot of effort to make this. It says if you leave it, will it happen? It will happen, but it might take 30, 40 years, and a lot of us might be dead and gone. But if you put the efforts, then it can happen much faster. It is both good for the farmer and also good for the consumers, because ultimately we are contributing to better health of people. And Ron.
Sensitive electronic goods.
So I think the international market, organic market, is about $120 billion, whereas the overall food market continues to be in the developed countries is more or less stagnant. Organic continues to grow at 7 to 8%. And that means more and more people are giving patronage to this. And as a country, I believe we have about $10 to $12 billion potential in the next 10 to 15 years. Again, obviously, we'll have to meet the international requirements, etc., and then make sure that we are competitive and other things. So there's a big opportunity, both from a domestic perspective and an international perspective. And next slide. And obviously, if farmers don't grow, sorry, the farmers. So if farmers don't grow organic, then there's no opportunity. But what we have seen is today I think there's negative incentive for a farmer to practice organic or natural farming, because there's no subsidy given to them. You get subsidies for buying fertilizers, pesticides in some cases, etc., but not for this. But in spite of that, farmers are adopting. What we see is in our own experience, farmers make about 15 to 30% more net income. But more importantly, a lot of farmers are practicing because the financial risk comes from government. Because you don't have to borrow money for fertilizer, pesticide, and anything like that. And second is Third is, let's say production becomes much more sustainable. What we have seen is the ups and downs in production are much lesser in organic, primarily because the soil becomes better. And to that extent, and in fact, we have seen during major droughts, which have happened 2-3 droughts in the last decade or so, organic farms have performed much better, primarily because of better soil, better water capacity. So I think these are the 2-3 factors which are encouraging farmers to grow more organic work, more organic. And from a consumer point of view, I think both Ms. Ray and Mrs. Saleh were saying that they are one of the first consumers of 24 Mantra, customers of 24 Mantra, and we are very thankful for that. So I think what we have seen is primarily one is we need to deliver value to the customer. Then second is the biggest question people ask is how do I trust this is genuinely good? Which is a fair thing because you are paying extra. It's not only about extra price. What we have seen is it is not organic is not simply about buying another product. It is a very conscious decision by the customer that I want to change my life. And obviously, you invest more. They back it's every day. And then we get hundreds of queries every day from customers asking for clarifications and asking for doubt. And even a small variation in our product, people immediately point out. We normally don't polish our valves. In fact, we are 2005 not polishing valves. And then in once I think in the mill by mistake the operator applies. So obviously the color looked different. And we got hundreds of complaints saying that what is 24 Mantra is also cheating, this, that, and all. Then when we went back and realized that the simple thing is added little water and then it looked different. Then immediately we have to pull back actually all those thoughts and say, well, it's very difficult to explain, right? So I think that way organic customers are very, very conscious and very involved like typical other products. So we need to be very aware of this. And of course, today I think, yes, except their souls, most of it is we talk about pesticide and then we farmers, nature, etc. But I don't think we have still found that one particular thing which will really connect seamlessly with customers. So obviously we are just trying to figure out what is the right message, etc. So even after so many years, we still, because we have so many messages, right? And you can't bombard a customer with many messages. You have to talk about 1, 2, 3, and that's typically any human being's cognitive ability. So I think this is very important. And then, yeah. So obviously the market itself is very complex because I think you have a farmer, then you have trader, aggregator, or a company or a GO, and then you have manufacturers, could be processing companies or whatever, do this, and then finally distributors. And when we talk about the retail thing, we are talking about primarily 4 channels. One is the modern trade, which is your supermarkets. Second is e-commerce, and third is general trade, and finally is our let's say retail stores, setting up your own store, etc. And each of them have their own challenges because I think getting into modern trade e-commerce is very, very expensive because they ask for a lot of money. Today, I think let's say if you look at the maximum retail price, based on the product you are selling, anywhere between 5% to 12% goes as GST to the government. And then the effective trade commissions to the order of about 30%. Now, is this very unusual? If you look at, let's say, most of the developed countries, the trade margins there are 35 to 40%. So, and of course, in case of organic, what happens is typically the channels, retail channels, whether it's a supermarket, they charge, I would say, about 5% to 6% higher, because one is you don't have that negotiating ability with them because we're still, all of us are still small. That is one. And then second is their argument is ultimately as far as the retailer is concerned, it's the shelf space. How much revenue is it generating per square foot of space? So obviously organic products tend to move a little slower, so they keep longer on the shelf. So to that extent, it wants to be compensated. And today modern trade e-commerce is also very difficult to get in because there's so many products. And then they talk about listing fees, this fees, that fees, which really makes it even for a company like us at this scale, it's very tough. And for a small organization to get in, it becomes that much more difficult. So obviously, we'll have to find different ways than the general trade, which is selling through kirana stores. Today, I think as an organization, we sell about 1/3 through modern trade, 1/3 through e-commerce, and 1/3 through the general trade, which is the kirana. In fact, pre-COVID, we were about 60% selling through modern trade, which is your supermarkets. E-commerce was a very small part, 10%. And general trade also was about 10-15% kind of thing. So COVID luckily accelerated that online buying. So today I think we are equally distributed between all. And of course we have our own stores. We have about 30 stores in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai. So small stores. In fact, when we started our journey in 2004, no one was willing to sell organic products, saying that what is organic, we don't want to put it on a shelf and waste our time. So we started our own stores in Hyderabad. Road number 12 was the store. Not that it made any commercial sense, but because no one was willing to do, and then we said, okay, we have to do this. Second is it was a route to build the brand and also educate consumers. Because in a store environment, people come, they're able to spend time, and we have the right people there, they're able to educate. And what we did is, after that, we continued the same model, though we went into all the supermarkets, etc. But we put a lot of what we call the merchandisers there. So train people who talk to the consumers, tell them about the story of organic and what it is, how it is, etc. And that's how I think we have built our business. So even today we have about 300 promoters or merchandisers across the country. And their job is to every day interact with consumers, explain to them what is organic, why organic, and then convince them to buy organic. So that's the route we have adopted. And of course, little bit digital, etc. And we were actually surprised. Last year, I think we thought we were in about 100-150 cities, towns. Because we actually focus the last, we were mostly focusing on the last, the top 15-20 kind of cities. But then when we actually started listing out where all we are present, we realized that we are in our 556 cities and towns across the country. Right from, I think the only place we are not there is perhaps Arunachal Pradesh. Otherwise, every other states we are there. And this is not because we have gone and then put in effort. It is just the pull factor. People wanting organic food. So I think this myth that food is a big city phenomena is right. Even in cities, town, there is a certain segment of people who are looking at high quality food. And today, even I think a lot of e-commerce. In fact, this year I was reading a report, Amazon and Flipkart. I think about 50% of their sales has come from class 2, class 3 towns. So I think it's getting deeper and deeper. And in fact, I think we don't really have to go through this route. Earlier I talked about e-commerce and all. But I think every district headquarter, taluka headquarter has the potential to start a small store and selling directly to the consumer. That is one way how the farmers can get a better share of the final pie. And then second is it also reduces the cost to the consumer. And then that kind of explores. And we also, when we started our first store in Banjara Hills, we thought, okay, people are rich in Banjara Hills, they will buy. But I think to our surprise, what we discussed is a lot of our customers who come from a Dilship Nagar or outskirts of the city on an old scooter and then come and tell, saying that, you know, you guys are not losing money, but we will encourage and tell our friends, but please don't close on the store. So, and then I have practically seen people coming in a Mercedes car and then questioning why this is 2 rupees more than the normal listing. And the person coming from the scooter saying that, don't worry, appreciate what you're doing, and then, so I think, and not only that, there are so many personal anecdotes which have happened. I used to go to a barber, no fancy salon, normal salon. And then one day I think there was an article about our store, and then a picture of me. And then he said, sir, is this your store? He said, yes, sir, this is our store. He said, I buy for my children a few products from your store. Then we had this helicopter of auto driver every month coming regularly to one of those stores and buying some products. Then similarly, I was traveling in Delhi and in a taxi, and I started a conversation with the driver, and then we were generally chatting. Then kya karte ho saath? Say organic food banate. Kya organic food? Then I said 24 mantra. Main aata kharita hu saath. Then I thought, then he started talking. Then he said, oh no, I only buy atta because this tastes like what the atta we prepare and now we eat back home. So I think it's not so much about money, but it is about mindset. Obviously, you require some minimum money. And in fact, this also plays out. If you look at US, where I think it's well researched, etc., about 30% of the people buy some organic product. And I think something similar can definitely happen in India, and it's something very encouraging. So we currently work with about 40,000 farmers in about 2 lakh acres in about 12 states. So these farmers are organized into about 80 groups. Each group is between about 300 to 500 farmers. And we directly, 90-95% we buy directly from farmers. That is, the payment goes directly to the farmer. We never handle cash. From day one, we have always convinced farmers to open bank accounts. And because of that, we are able to provide 100% traceability. We launched new packs where we have a QR code on the back, and you scan the QR code and then go to the traceability. Our traceability website, just in the national, you will see which farmers have grown the contents of the bag, where they have grown, when they have grown, how they have grown. Because I think today, a lot of today, a lot of customers are also very curious to know what they are eating and what goes in there. So I think that is something which is good, because people have become more inquisitive. Then I think you have an opportunity to tell genuine stories. People are there to listen. So I think these are the things, but unfortunately what's happening is there's so many FPOs have got created, and then AP Mass has been a pioneer in doing this, but still the connect is less, because any company is a commercial organization. They are looking at, okay, if I change my procurement model, will I benefit anything? Right. So that is where, in fact, we have our own thing, because one is the integrity aspect. Second, whenever we try to source from some certified FPOs or farmer groups, etc., 90% of the time it fails in pesticide residues. It's not that farmers want to cheat or anything, but it's easy.
No, we have someone doing that actually. Sitting in another room and doing it. You know, some people just unmute. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry, there was a. Yeah, so I think basically, as I said, to do about 60-70% organic natural is fairly easy, it's fairly intuitive. But beyond that, what we have realized is farmers require very close support in terms of advising them. One is because organic is about prevention. Because if you have a huge pest attack, then you don't have tools and resources in organic to control that. So it has to be mostly preventive. So we keep sending out farm advisories to our staff, like, okay, this crop is at this stage, you're likely to get this pest given the climate situation, so you take these precautions. Now I think we're working on a farmer app so we can push the messaging directly. So that is very important, and that's why I think we find failures. And that's one reason why we have stuck to sourcing from our own farmers, because we are 100% sure what is happening. But so that is one feedback. Wherever I think FPOs are working organic, then they should figure out a system mechanism where they're able to offer that course. Without that, and then so that's been our experience. There's been experience of many other organizations. So I think we are about 60–70% there, but that last 30% is very, very important. And today, I think not only us, seeing us, even ITC has gotten to organic, Tata has gotten to organic. This is a good thing because bigger players, more muscle power, more money power, hopefully better education happens, etc. And that is also an opportunity for farmers to plug into their supply chains. And of course, we talk about exports, and I think last 6 months, 9 months, there have been series of workshops on natural farming, etc. And then everyone says, how do we export more natural products? The only question I keep spelling is, the world doesn't know natural, the world only knows the term organic. Whatever you call it doesn't matter, but you have to ultimately conform to importing countries' standards. And if you don't conform, you can't export. But there are two opportunities here. One is, I think last year we exported over 50 billion worth of agri commodities. So even in conventional, it's becoming tighter and tighter from a import regulation perspective, because a lot of chemicals are getting banned, etc. So forget, even if you are not able to organic, but if you are able to plug into this conventional, even export value chains, I'm sure organic or natural will stand a much better chance, because we are definitely using lesser inputs and some guidance that can definitely fetch higher price. And of course, organic is you go 100%, then you can get that. So I think one is that thing, and then also we are a little bit competitive in some of the products. So we'll have to figure out what are those products where we are competitive. And one of the biggest trends which is happening worldwide and then slowly catching up in India is this trend of superfood. So who would have thought that the jackfruit will become a superfood? Because I think we never valued it, but today it's valued so much across the world. So I think a lot of that. Similarly, the trend today is saying that a cauliflower is a superfood. Right. So a lot of these things are happening, and that is where I think we need to be a little bit plugged into what is happening and then start promoting those things at a very quick reaction in a very short time, so that we are able to catch that trend. And today, I think millets are growing, but a lot more needs to be done. So similarly, I think a lot of other things, and of course, we have microbial contamination. So one I talked about FPOs, so microbial contamination is again a big issue. So I think FPOs have a good role to play in terms of, one is making sure that you give material which conforms to certain quality specifications. That is always a huge challenge given our small farms. So that is where I think FPOs can add huge value, and companies will value. And then a little bit on the post-harvest and harvesting procedures, that will also add value, because that's a very big pain point for a lot of commodities. The microbial contamination, particularly groundnut aflatoxin, is a big issue. I know us as a company has been really trying to work in sourcing from India, but they've still not been able to nail it because of aflatoxin issue. Otherwise, as one of the largest consumers of peanuts for their products in the world. So these are the things I think where FPOs can add value, and then I'm sure there will be values. I think one is, of course, we need to develop local markets, and it is very much feasible because the retail costs are lower in, let's say, a district or a small place. And obviously, if you are local to that extent, the story is easily told. You don't have to invest in expensive advertising, etc. You can take people to fields, show them, and there are enough consumers to make it viable. And obviously, to aggregate the segregator to be in this case FPOs. And of course, a little bit, I think we have standards, etc., but they need to be enforced. Today, they are not enforced, and that's why I think the farmers don't get their due. Because if the standards are strictly enforced, then obviously genuine farmers will get benefit. So that's something we need to work on. And I talked about traceability, particularly in organic, etc. That gives a lot of confidence to customers, and we should build that into the whole system. And today, with technology being so easy, it's quite feasible. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Raj. Very illuminating. It's not a theory that you're talking about. It's a lived experience of promoting organic marketing. So maybe what I was thinking as you were speaking is that we invite you to talk to the FPO Federation Board of Directors. So that, I think it may not happen overnight, but I think with persistent efforts, if they take ownership to this idea, I think achieving or enforcing, the FPO Board of Directors will have to take responsibility, the FPO CEOs will have to take responsibility. Promoters like us are only there to incubate and support. Enforcement will have to become the responsibility of farmers collectives. But thank you very much for giving away the kind of potential there is for the future. So with that, we'll move on to, we're running a little behind schedule. Questions we will take at the end. So we will have Anita Paul. I will request Anita to maybe be brief because we also want to listen to Vivek from Kalpuri. So Anita, over to you. Thank you for agreeing to speak to us. So you can share your thoughts and experience of learning of marketing, the value addition of organic produce. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all, and thanks for extending this invitation for this memorial event. It's really an honor to be here, and I would at the outset like to say that we need many, many more inspiring luminaries like Mr. Ray. And I would also like to thank Mrs. Ray for actually carrying on with the passion, sharing his passion and continuing to date. I mean, I think it's remarkable. Nikita, would you share the presentation, please?
Sure, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The presentation is on the screen.
Yeah, so the next one, please. So at the outset, actually, I would like to just present my whole talk on linking it to sustainable food systems, because food systems, I think it's a good realization now that it's not just the farmers. Traditionally we would think farmers and food and that's it, but actually it also includes all processes, infrastructures, and various other systems that are required to feed humanity. And it's also we need to realize that food is not just sustenance, it's also our culture and actually the very soul of communities. Having said that, it's also all of us know that agriculture and food production are important economic drivers. And also to peg the issue that worldwide 80% of all food that is produced by small and marginal farmers. So it's not a story about large farms. And when you talk about small and marginal farmers, especially today, agroecology as an approach is gaining momentum. because that is based on ecological and social concepts, and also because it puts people at the center of food systems, and that one must not forget. So, and the minute you talk about small and marginal farmers, diversity is another feature, because with focus on the farmer and his farm surpluses, we will have to deal with a basket of produce vis-a-vis one district, one product kind of a norm. Family farmers, small and marginal farmers, indigenous people are at the heart of agroecology. And I also want to peg this issue that 70% of rural female workforce is in agriculture sector. So the women's role in farming systems, it may be invisible, but one must recognize that they are not invincible. And farming, and today with the food systems facing a lot of multiple crises actually related to climate change and also not climate change impacts, soil, water, emergencies, environmental degradation, it's all leading up to a dialogue where everybody is probably feeling that agroecological principles must be supported and developed in a more holistic manner, because that is what will give our food systems the resilience that it's required. Next, please. So while we are trying to strengthen the resilience of small and marginal farmers and their economies and their ecosystems, we are also trying to build an ethical value chain, which is kind of building upon the trust between the producer and the consumer. If we are able to do that, then these other elements of building in fair compensation for primary producers, for building in conservation as a key component, all these things, they start taking momentum slowly, but nonetheless, it does happen. I think the 24 letter, the 24 mantra presentation also spoke about the challenges of certification, and Bablu also was raising the issue. Like them, we also have been focusing on on participatory guarantee system as a way forward for production, for certification, because it is ethical. It is also gives farmer his dignity. When a farmer says and takes a pledge that I am going to be organic or natural or prakritik kheti in whichever manner, I think giving farmer his due and his dignity is probably very, very needed today, and building the story of each product and connecting with consumers, I think is at the core of this entire food system. So basically, enabling consumers to make informed purchases. It's because I think there is a growing awareness and interest in honoring the producers, in knowing the story, in knowing about its origins and the processing methods and the nutritional information. It is gaining momentum, and I think we as collectives or as agripreneurs, we need to make use of this opportunity that is coming about. Next, please. So I think I just wanted to peg it once again that economical, social, and environmental sustainability, they are the key drivers for sustainable food value chains. And the thing over there is, the challenge over here would be governance systems, putting it in place, meeting the market needs, and the thing also is that the whole market system is dynamic. There is a continuous need to upgrade your systems day on day. You need to also scale up. There are so many players, and each player is wanting his or her own, so to say, norms to be fulfilled. And also, while we are meeting up with all this, it's also a challenge that each farmer collective or a producer collective or a FPO needs to keep retaining its focus and vision, and its vision and mission statement in focus, so that we don't kind of get just thrown around by the winds and so-called let trade define food systems, if you know what I mean. If you just let trade is necessary. It needs to come center stage, yes, but it cannot just say that let markets play its own role. While it has been doing so, but there has been a change now, and there is a growing realization that diversity and working towards that is also equally important. Next, please. I come from, my karma bhumi, so to say, is Uttarakhand, and the Indian Himalayan region is center stage for all our work. When I'm saying all our work, I come from this organization called Grassroots, and we are doing or implementing kind of a holistic mountain development program. And 2022 has been declared as the International Year of Sustainable Mountain, with the theme that mountains matter to everyone, and it is Women Move Mountains is the theme for the current celebration. So I could not resist but make use of this opportunity, because actually very few people know that the Indian Himalayan region is significant. It's significant for us as a nation. It's home to more than almost close to 70 million people. 10 full-on states are mountains, and parts of 2 states, basically Darjeeling in West Bengal and bits of Assam, which also classify and come under this Indian Himalayan region. 25% of our biodiversity hotspots comes under here. The mountains, I mean, the Himalayas are termed as the water towers of the nation, and we impact people downstream and also provide a lot of cultural, mental well-being and through tourism, and also a home to a lot of medicinal plants. The reason why I'm bringing all this into center stage is actually, when we think about mountains, we probably don't realize that all this is also there. So next, please. Having said that, we have our own lot of challenges. Mountain communities are probably amongst the most vulnerable to climate impacts, and every now and then you'll be seeing on national news some apada which is hitting us day on day. Land degradation and desertification due to deforestation and overgrazing, and also extractive policies, because for everything, when it comes to forests or come to our ecology, our belief currently is what can we extract instead of what can be restored also. Drying up of water resources, our irrigation systems are down. Only 1% of agricultural land in Uttarakhand is currently irrigated. So we are by and large rain fed. And having said that, our geographies, it's got poor or non-existent infrastructure. So out migration in search of livelihoods is the name of the game. And also because our small and marginal farmers are almost like 1 acre land holding, and that too practicing terrace farming, which means that 1 acre is split into various plots of land. So in short, mountain communities, we continue to live on an edge, and yet we have to shoulder this responsibility as we are the custodians of critical ecosystems, which is important not just for ourselves, but also communities living downstream. Next, please. And also just to say that because of out migration, feminization of our agriculture is happening at a very fast pace. Women are the key stakeholder, having to take major decisions on their own, and yet we have no land. The current land ownership pattern in our country doesn't enable her to have anything, any collateral to access any kind of financial assistance to start any entrepreneurial enterprise. Lack of engendered policy initiatives, infrastructure, basic health, education, and also because of all these challenges, the aspiration of the youth in itself is also changing. It's leading to a huge brain drain, and which means that our senior citizens are being left behind up in the mountains to fend for themselves and accessing basic daily needs like water, firewood, mental depression, helplessness. All these are realities of life today. Next, please. So against this backdrop, what could we do? So Grassroots, as a non-profit organization, in our wisdom, we thought that in order to find a fresh balance for such marginalized communities, we promoted Umang as a ethical farmer producer company in the year 2009 with women as the stakeholders. Umang is located in this tiny village called Naini, which is at almost 6,000 feet. And it's about located 9 kilometers from this town called Ranikhet in Almora district of Uttarakhand. And the primary objective of Umang is to promote enterprises which are directly controlled by producer members based on the principles of fair trade. Ecology, economics, and equity are the three guiding principles for us. Next, please. So as a community-owned enterprise over the years, Umang has been able to consolidate its operations in some districts of Uttarakhand, and we've also partnered with some neighboring districts in Himachal Pradesh. And we have about 160 self-help groups with 2,300 women as our general body, so to say. But out of this general body, about 110 self-help groups and 1,000 women members are currently engaged with Umang in their as a community-owned enterprise. Because we are in, as I mentioned earlier, it is 1 acre of land mostly that people own. So, and also because we focus on only surplus food, because self-consumption is important for us, because food security and nutrition is at the center of our thinking. So it's only the surpluses that we aggregate, which means that it's sometimes we aggregate as little as 250 grams of sesame or chilies or what have you. Because if you really put the farmer and it's farmer centric, then we go with her and her basket of produce and build a business plan, so to say, around it. Having said that, from subsistence mountain farmers, which is what we were till as early or as late as almost 1990s, when the climate impact actually started hitting, that's when market economy started coming center stage. So it means that developing skills and knowledge at every stage of this value chain is a challenge, and that goes without saying. I think it is a challenge for most of us who are present in this room. Thank you. Next. So Umang, building on the strengths, we kind of thought, what do we do? So of course, building on the strengths of the region, Umang has this tradition of Bara Anaj, which means that traditionally there would be intercropping 12 or more rain-fed crops, which means that any unit of land, they would have 12 kinds of crops in a given year. So by building on that, we also have a mix of horticulture and agriculture. So we did have some kind of fruit trees, which means that temperate soft fruits like plums and apricots, which has a very short life compared to many other things. So building on that, we created a value chain for making fruit preserves, chutneys, pickles, and there were some amount of honey is also there. So we kind of clubbed it all together and we created a brand name called Kumauni for our honey, jams, pickles, because it was impossible to even, this is way back in 2009 where to reach even as NCR like Delhi, it was a challenge, so we thought, okay, let's value add and convert and let's increase the shelf life and then see what can we do with those products after increasing the shelf life. Similarly, farm surpluses in terms of millets, cereals, pulses, spices, walnuts, we kind of aggregated all that and we created another brand name called Him Khadya. And in order to add some value to this basket, we also introduced some herbal teas like chamomile, essentially, to increase the, without actually disturbing the cropping pattern or the time, we were able to introduce a short time thing called chamomile, which is kind of giving that surplus, generating that surplus as a value added crop. And besides, so we have these two as an on-farm initiative, but we also realized that because it's such a small ticket size of economy, we had to do something off-farm also to add to the livelihoods of our women. So we started looking at a USP, and woolens, hand knitted, kind of jumps up, like everybody, mountains and wool kind of goes together. So we introduced hand knitted woolen as another activity and branded that simply as Umang Hand Knits. So with these three value chains is what we are trying to connect our producers to markets. And in a way, it is kind of bringing value back, so-called, to farming. We are trying to do that by bringing traditional crops back. It's a fact that, some of the millets, like say barnyard millet or even buckwheat, for instance, has gone out, and the biodiversity is getting eroded fast. So by doing these market connects, one is trying to bring that back. And as somebody in the previous thing said, because all these are today now termed as superfoods, somehow the interest and the whole thing is coming back to the thing. But however, our remote geographies, it is still a challenge, because it so happens that, the processing of millets is in South India, and once we are trying to sell from here to Telangana, we are just outpricing ourselves completely. So it just brings us back to good policy incentives and initiatives that is at the center of it. And marketing, packaging, certification, all this still remains a challenge, because PGS while we are all promoting and pushing for it, frankly speaking, a third-party certification is still center stage. And if you're wanting to access markets at export markets, which is not we are not looking for it, because I think India is a big enough market for producer collectives like Umang and many other FPOs. If we could just watch our own ecological footprints, there's enough and more market even in the domestic scene for the time being. So and also I did put this whole thing about big business swallowing small farmers. I did put it because today everything is about aggregating power, and everything is getting aggregated into a few hands. We must watch against it, because that doesn't lead to sustainable food systems. Next, please. So basically, I just pegged these some of the issues that organizations like FPOs like Umang are facing with, but I didn't go into details about marketing. Umang is currently at about 160 to 170 lakhs annually. And as far as marketing is concerned, it may be of interest to you. We have a whole chain of retailers. We build partnerships all the way down to Bombay. Hyderabad in itself has two very good players for us. So building partnerships with agripreneurs, getting shelf space in existing retail outlets. We have our own shop because it's a tourist destination. Almost 40% of our sales happens directly out of our own stores. We have partnered with e-commerce platforms also, with other big players like Fab India, like Jaipur. And so you carry on building these partnerships. And we are also trying to, since COVID times, we have our own website also, which is picking up. I agree that e-commerce is moving slowly, but I think it is building, it is building year on year. We need to develop those skills in the FPO to be able to service all these various avenues. So that mountain that you're seeing on the screen is a source of inspiration, which we look at every morning. That's out of our office windows and our processing halls. So I'll just leave it over here, and I'm happy to take questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anita. That was really I think that we were talking about problems of Anantapur or Telugu states in front of what you are facing. These look very much smaller. So in the mountain region of India, I think challenges are many. But I like the title, the name of the NPO called Woman. It's about home. So I think that's wonderful. So you're building hope among the, and it's an all women FPO. By the way, so I think Rahul also focuses on. In India, we are having close to 250 all women farmer producer organizations, and that number is growing. AP Mass itself has promoted around 10 of them, and another 10 plus are in the pipeline. So I think how do we recognize women as farmers? How do we make sure that they are key players in the agriculture value chain development, including marketing? I think is that. So I'm delighted that Anita was able to join this panel and bring that perspective. Not just look at them as producers or as farm workers, but look at them as value chain actors and as decision makers in the entire agricultural value chain development. I also liked, Anita, your one other point on your slide, e-tail instead of retail. So, doing it virtually. So I'm sure the superfoods, and I think we are learning a lot more terminology in the age of COVID or post-COVID. But Anita, I think we will really look at the possibility of some exposure or exchange visits so that we can work together. I'm sure there are many national level collectives on natural farming, organic farming, and about marketing. But I guess what is more critical is how do we take it to the scale and maximize the farmers getting the maximum of the consumer price. So thank you very much. I was truly inspired by your presentation. We will move on to our Vivek Sehgalji from Kalgudi. And I think after that, we hope there will be some Q&A, some discussion. And any of you who have questions, so please make note of it, and then we can have a round of Q&A from the panelists present here as well as virtually. I also want to mention that we have over 25 people on the Zoom meeting and another 13, 14 or it's a varying number on the YouTube live that we are going. So I think in addition to whoever is sitting in the room, we have virtual participation in the interaction. Very interesting participation over there. So I'll request Vivek to please proceed. Thank you, Vivek.
Thank you.
I think sitting here maybe is easier.
Yeah.
How do I see what is being presented?
Yeah, maybe.
Is that easier?
Yeah, you can maybe stand there. Yeah.
Stand this side.
Yeah. As close as possible.
This mic.
Yeah.
This is the
That's the piece.
That's the piece. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So then I don't need
No,
this.
use it for this room. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. So thanks for having
Use this.
okay. Yeah, it's this now. So get this and this together. So it's absolute honor to be here at AP Mass for this memorial lecture. Kalgudi and AP Mass, we have had regular interactions and we are continuously looking at partnering together to do more activities that can help small and marginal farmers. I think that's the common goal that we all share. We bring in a set of capabilities that we have. And I think when we were sitting in the room, one of one of his colleagues mentioned that, and I think you repeated the statement that Sir often said about complementing each other's strengths. So that's exactly the kind of partnership we strive to build with AP Mass. And I'd like to just mention that and pay my tribute to Mr. Das, on whose memory we are having the lecture on. I had not, frankly, had much knowledge of him before this meeting. It's quite an inspiration to understand all the time he spent in AP and working in this area. And I think much more than that is truly impressive is the way Mr. Das and the family have carried on with passion the whole involvement in this. So my tribute to him and to the family for being so involved in this sector. The previous three, my co-panelists have long experience. Like closer.
No, they put it in an angle, like that kind of. It captures better.
Okay, so yeah, that's okay.
Yes, pretty good.
They have long experience. Raj is 2 decades plus selling organics. Timbuktu has been doing it since 1990s when we hardly heard of it, and so has Pan-Himalayan grassroots. So I'm not going to get into the depth of each of those areas of which Raj outlined. Come there, not coming. I said technology is not very complicated. Very easy to use. It's very pervasive. Yeah, that's exactly how good it is.
Easy and very hard.
Oh. The other one. So next. You want me to come and sit there and do it? It will be easier. I can just present from there and keep talking. Huh?
System got stuck too.
No, but I'm saying otherwise. Otherwise,
Okay, that's important. We will do.
I'd be more comfortable.
Sure.
I'll be very comfortable. I think everyone's seen my mugshot. Everyone's seen. I'll just get my specs. So there are a whole lot of challenges, obviously, that both farmers and collective space who are in the organic space. Most of these have been outlined earlier. I can just highlight quickly some of them. The information gap is huge. Organic farmers need a lot more information on what potential market opportunities are there, and also on the optimal package of practices that they need to follow. There is very inadequate understanding of the soil profile on which they are working, and they need a regular understanding of that, and that needs to be provided to them. The inputs that they require are often not easily available. That needs to be helped them out. Handholding during the entire production cycle is something that they really look forward to and require. How do we help them with that? Market channels are still very, very limited. There's a huge market in absolute numbers. if we do talk about the market being 2,500 crores today, it's a large market, yes, but overall, from a national perspective and for a particular farmer or for any collective, that's a very small figure to be looking at. So how do we build these channels is a big challenge before them. Infrastructure, post-harvest particularly, is getting built up. There are government support systems, but very few, and understanding about them is still limited. Traceability, trust is very important. And finally, consumer connect is what is required. And how do they implement that? So we need to look at utilizing digital technology in the entire value chain, as mentioned by Ma'am right in the beginning, not in one particular silo. We look at its utility in all 5 areas. One is fundamental digitization, engagement, inputs, selling bulk commodity outputs, and finally in having consumer business. Let's start with the first thing, digitization of farmers. It could be small and marginal farmers and collectives themselves. So a first starting point where on a digital platform, you build a very fundamental profile of the farmer and take it up to be as a collective. So the audience who's online is not able to hear.
The Zoom.
The Zoom audience is not able to hear.
Some of them, at least.
They're fine, right? So you build a basic profile and provide all the details, which can include many things, starting from geotagging the land, the farmer understanding, the cropping pattern, soil profile, other details, etc. I'll just quickly show you what it can do. While I'm saying that, and it's connecting what it potentially would look like. So why do we need this digitization? Where does it take us forward? Once you can build a digital profile of the farmer at a very micro level and then aggregate it at a collective level, think of it as a LinkedIn profile. All of us, many of us today use our LinkedIn profiles. And it's very natural for us to promote our careers to do that. Similarly, yes, it's the opportunity for that we view every marginal, small and marginal farmer as a micro entrepreneur. He's running a business. It's a small business of his own, and he should promote it. And that's the easiest way for him to work on is a very low cost, easy mechanism for the farmer and for the collective to be made visible across a large ecosystem. It's very economical and it's not difficult to do. And it's dynamic. I don't need to be printing brochures about myself every 5th month. I don't need to be. Whatever I'm doing is visible, and that builds a very different. So that's exactly say how we promote our LinkedIn profiles, building our careers. The same way for running my business. This is what we propagate. That's where that is useful not only for being visible and getting more benefits from other stakeholders. The stakeholder could be a consumer, so that he understands what I'm all about. It could be a government agency or a support agency which may be looking at supporting me in some way. It could be a creditor organization which wants to fund me. They don't need to necessarily always have the exact number. They need to look at surrogates. They need to understand what we are all about. That's exactly the kind of movement that LinkedIn brought in. That's what we suggest is how building a fundamental digital profile helps. Now that we've got that thing behind us, that it's important for anybody who wishes to go beyond being a routine farmer or being part of the routine agri ecosystem, that it is important for them to build a digital profile and keep it dynamic. It's equally useful and critical that there be a lot of engagement with the farmers and their engagement with everybody else in the ecosystem. So that's the whole area of engagement. Now, that's bringing in all other stakeholders who could be from the agriculture university or any other stakeholders from the support agencies, etc., would like to provide information. It could be corporates who work with them. You can't do that. Yeah. Can't do that. There is some complicated. Leave it as well. Each time it is back.
I think it won't work.
No, I think let's avoid that.
Yeah.
Let I just present it. I actually wanted to demonstrate to you what a farmer profile looks like digitally and what kind of engagement can happen. It's not kind of moving back forth. Yeah, I think we'll do that later. So digital engagement is for answering farmer queries. You can see right on in the middle is just providing basic information on pricing, etc. But on the right-hand corner, you'll see farmers uploading images and those being answered dynamically, having queries, business social. We all try to build our understanding on what we are all about by building a social network and how much we engage digitally. But this is equally about getting other stakeholders to be more connected with the entity. You know, the whole thing is about how do we build a much larger marketplace for organic farmers. The larger marketplace is going to get built only by having many more ecosystem players, all other stakeholders being directly connected with each other. Everybody can't be in silo. And the opportunity is there. Vast country, a vast economy, it's possible today to be directly connected very easy. That's the whole idea of what we call as business social, building at a fundamental stage. Now, it was mentioned that AP Mask now really interacting with 250 FPOs, right, at that level itself. That's a massive scale. You need to work, understand what the crop calendars at the micro level. If we talk about 250 FPOs, an average FPO, I think, steady is about 300 is your membership.
Yeah.
Average 300.
About.
That's a typical. It's not that all farmers are exactly doing the same thing. Okay, but there's a lot of aggregation across different areas. You need to understand what the crop calendars they are following. We want to move towards more dynamic cropping. Ma'am was mentioning about from monocropping to multiple cropping. Need to keep a track of what the farmers are trying to do, etc. All this becomes possible at scale to manage, monitor, provide the right kind of advisories, think back, micro-targeting of information, and getting back answers, getting replies from one area being provided to others. All very easily possible, running surveys on the fly, and I think the key in all this is at very low cost. It's very economical. Farmers, there is a challenge that is often pointed out that farmers are not that active on digital media. They are increasingly becoming that. Smartphone penetration, even in the poorest regions of Eastern UP or Rayalaseema, is about 40% already. While the penetration is there, you don't necessarily get the engagement. Engagement comes only when there is something of interest to the participants. You can build that by providing them the right information that they are looking for. So all this is about getting what you had asked me to look at. How do we build extension? You can do implementation, knowledge sharing, crop weather-based advisories. Everything is very much easily possible. Satellite-based imagery today is at a fraction of a cost, and is happening. You are actually mapping soil areas and understanding where the nutrient levels are lower, what kind of activity can be undertaken there, and these come at absolutely very low cost interventions. When we come to the whole area of providing inputs, So here is where we provide inputs to the farmer, to both at a collective level or to the farmers using an e-commerce mechanism. It serves many different purposes, of course. It need not be the standard products that are easily available in the neighborhood, but being an organic farmer and a collective, you're looking for different kind of inputs which may not be easily available. How do you get access to that? So that's where you use a digital or an e-commerce input store. And finally, equally is that whatever inputs the farmer is using get recorded on what kind of business they are doing. That's building up the digital trade of the activities that the farmer is using in his production process. So various activities that we undertake in doing that. More importantly is now we come that we use technology to get the right production going, and we've used the right inputs, and we've got a harvest coming up. How do we sell it? So various different levels, and of course, when you work with FPOs as collectives, and this is particularly true for information with say AP Mass, collectives are different levels of maturity. So while the market, the desire of any retailer or an institutional buyer or anybody else be that you've aggregated all the produce and then you're able to provide it to them at one go. That's not very easy. Very few FPOs today are at that level of maturity. We can begin the journey by then at least helping the farmers produce being discoverable. Okay, so that is where I can showcase that to you later. But here you use digital to create a farmer lot at the farm gate. We call it an SKU, but that is mapping the market requirements. So if you take chilies, they would be like, the kind of cultivation, is it IPM or standard? What is the type of grade it is it Talu, is it medium best? So you mark all that, and the farmer's lot, which is some smaller marginal farmer, would be a less than a ton, maximum 2 tons at particular harvest. So that is created as a tradable lot. That's in the farm level. And then he could have stored this at a warehouse. And that's the beginning of working on how do I trade with this. So each of these are then available and promoted on a digital platform and accessible to everybody else, every other stakeholder who could be a trader in the neighboring area, a trader from 500 kilometers away, or a large institutional buyer who would like to come in, understand how to buy this. So at a particular time, let's just take in the case of chili. In our case, we today have about 30,000 tons of chilies on the platform, and there must be more than 4 to 5 lakh SKUs. These are individual tradable lots, and they're dynamic. The minute it's sold, you remove it. It's the farmer who's creating it, and it's a video or an image of his tradable lot. He fills in his own desire. Obviously, at the beginning, it's the FPO and others who support him in creating that. So you now created a marketplace which has millions of SKUs available. For a buyer to come and look at that, and these are geotagged. Because I digitized in the beginning, I can geo my farmer, I have these SKUs. I as a trader wish to buy Talu from some particular mandal. I get to see how many lots are available. I can go there and buy. And trader stops doing that. And farmers, many products are keeping it in the cold storage. Or in any part of the value chain, we get to see that. This is very critical parallelly in organic, where we are understanding what is the product all about, what are the trading lots. Aggregation is critical. The key challenge that marginal farmers and FPOs face is aggregation. Because the buyer needs to come and buy at least a sizable lot. He needs his 10 tons or at the minimum a 5 ton, which is not immediately available but at a particular farm level. How do you aggregate it, put it into a particular lot and take it ahead? That's where this whole digital activity, where we build in the whole commodity specific marketplaces or organic specifically with each product category. Of course, we use and provide digital technology all the way at every stage. If there is a pack house, if there is grading, warehousing, every activity of that is provided with a digital solution. So it's well monitored and brings in efficiency. None of the activities are being bypassed. These are time-hand processes that are required for the value chain to move ahead. And we are just providing digital mechanisms to make it more efficient and make it happen better. Yeah. So you've got more market discovery and you're able to expand your markets, go beyond what is merely available. And then finally, you take this to moving into a desire to be getting the consumer part. I think by and large, most of us in the room have an understanding that from the farm gate to the supermarket, particularly the gap market supermarket, the gap is almost times 2x, if not 3x. There's a huge gap. Fine, there are logistics challenges, etc. There's a cost of handling it, which Raj will have the full costing in more detail that they have to undertake. But the price gap is there. There is an opportunity. We have successfully run it, and we continue to provide that, where collectives or any other organization can actually sell their produce directly to consumers, okay, bypassing any other mechanisms. And there are other various initiatives that can be looked at. Then you have wherein you are actually processing and packaging and making it into consumer packs. So this is of course like particular products, not every product has that same opportunity. Mangoes had a very easy opportunity of say a 5 kg pack. And it was run very successfully, I think last 2 years in Hyderabad, wherein selling mangoes directly to consumers as 5 kg packs delivered in the house. Then you take it forward. I'd love to click on this and show you traceability. We have done all this right from the beginning till now. And then you provide a traceability right from where the produce, who the farmer was, where he was produced, what kind of advisories he got, what kind of questions he asked, and where did he take all this. The key in this is we've actually gone to the next step and created an LP. I did talk about in the last where we created a marketable lot. When we are aggregating, I'm putting 5 lots together to create a 10 ton. I have a record on the platform for all 5 of those lots. So when your 10 tons have gone into a warehouse, I picked up 5 different lots. All those 5 lots, details are available. I am giving you details of from where did this 10 tons come in. Now, from that 10 tons, you processed and made, and you probably picked up 10 tons from 5 other people. And then you processed and made a 100 grams. But it is possible, and we are doing it, showcasing you, if you wish to get into the depth of it, all the way through. So what happens is, it's not complex. It's not very difficult and it's not expensive. We are able to provide this kind of traceability and showcase this. The key in traceability is, it's a step way ahead, particularly in organic, from certification. This is our feeling that certification is critical. Of course, it's required. Those are mandatory requirements and they will continue to be. But just as they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Self-certification is the best traceability. You showcase what you've done. As a farmer, as a collective, you keep showcasing your processes. Customers will keep flocking to you. They'll keep seeing what you are doing. You're using less pesticide, right? Whatever is required, you're using less or more, you just keep showing it. And there is no additional check and balance required from you. There's no necessity for an extra audit. If you are not being correct about it, customers view you and they give you a bad rating. And you won't get the next customer. It's as straightforward as that. If you just keep building on this, that's what is using digital traceability. And since we did have a lot of interest, I didn't know that, with the SHG movement, we work a lot with women entrepreneurs because they're significantly linked in many states to the FPO activity. And they bring in the value add to bring in value added products. So, and then taking those to the market, we have run various last mile stores very extensively, providing digital assistance right from production to understanding and taking the facts. We're working in AP for the last 3 years, the large project with the government. We're working in Sikkim, and now we're working extensively in Orissa. We're expanding in many states. So obviously, this is an activity that we aren't able to do on our own. We work with the government and help them to do the SRLMs, to do their activity better by providing them support and digital technology to their extensive activities. That's for AP. Yeah, similar thing for Sikkim. If I could have gone on to the demo, I would have shown you the various organic products that Sikkim SNGs are selling using the support of this kind of activity. And then marketing. Organic producers need have their consumer is a conscientious consumer. Use digital to have the connect directly with the consumer. It could even be a B2B buyer. So when you're looking at exports or looking at a faraway market, it could be a B2B buyer or it is obviously your B2C. You build your story. The production story is very useful. It adds to that 5% extra fee. All these are trying to build in that stickiness to your product, your brand, and also giving you that marginal 5%, 10% extra premium. And that's a lot. That can be easily achieved. So those are the stories you build in, and they can be easily propagated using digital link to your product. And you run very micro-targeted promotions of the kind of product you have, where it can be. And you keep changing those to the audience as it looks at it, and then build a loyalty with your end consumers. Have a constant interaction with them using digital and bring a kind of a stickiness and get the premium. That's what we propagate, and that's what we suggest.
Thank you, Vivek. That's very, I think in a way, this is the way forward in terms of digitization or using technology. In fact, Government of India promotes what is the kind of online platform for marketing. As of now, it is traded in a routine way, and then they put it online. But I think someday, with more and more private players coming in and organizations like Moody supporting, I think this can really become a reality. Particularly connecting producers with consumers using a technology platform, I think is the way forward. So thank you very much, Vivek, and also the good thing about Kalgudi is they have done it at scale by working with the state governments, both Andhra Pradesh and also in other states like Sikkim. So maybe in terms of time, we are kind of almost it's lunchtime. And by the way, we have organized this week about natural farming, organic farming. So we organized the millet lunch by Deccan Development Society. In fact, the last memorial event, we had Satish as one of the speakers from Deccan Development Society. So, and of course, the food is waiting. But I think it will be nice to have maybe 2 or 3 questions before we move on to the lunch. Yes, we had already. I guess it's true.
Are we using your products? One person has been lingering in my mind from the day when I saw your brand name. What is the record for?
What is the mantra behind
Pulses. See that is a different thing. Sure, sir. No, sir. It's a pleasure.
Maybe we'll take a couple of more questions here.
When you are doubting integrity of QMPOs, how come you didn't have the same problem from 80,000 farmers? But I don't know whether they are organized by themselves or you are helping them get organized. Irrespective of that, some Spain, especially when you are operating on Spain, with the decentralized operations going on where you have no control, how would you be able to really take the customer loyalty? Because that is also another factor that you have to satisfy. Apart from your doubting or genuinely believing in it, or farmers.
There's one question. Yes. I hope the panelists remember the questions.
I will.
Want to know how people is in the farmers, how many farmers are how you are procuring the material and how is the quality is maintained, how the production is done in
It is the presentation.
how the production is done in organic way. You are directly procuring or monitoring all activity, organic farming activity from day one to end of the product. And how you are recruiting the FPOs you are procuring the maker.
Thank you.
One a small question about shelf life, because organic products, I'm told, they use chemical preservatives and so on. And when you're not able to do it, how do you prolong? Because you have quite a long shelf life you need to have exposed and far off places.
I think they have a better.
Yeah, Raj, I think you can maybe take the mic. All the questions. Many questions are to you.
Thanks. There's two questions, I think. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So one is we are talking of the share of the farmer from the water consumer base. So in 24 Mantra, how it has been, and what is the present, how the farmers.
What percentage of the consumer price?
Yeah. Second thing for Vivek is so one of the things in the presentation has come up. To the e-marketing, they expect a lot of things to share the e-marketing platforms, seek from the partners. So your digital marketing platform, how it is going to get the partners, whether how much percentage partners are. So whether excessive charges which the e-platform are doing, everything will be avoided to your and whether it could be scaled up.
Here, maybe one more question. Okay, then.
They want to take the mic. So please that and then answer.
Question is, failure of, there is no failure of three farmers. But when it's not operating, mentioned, there was very much of instances. We operated between the Telangana government from unexpected. We adopted the technology. So we were able to communicate with the platform to other agencies. We were able to successfully mediate the transaction. And unfortunately, both governments have not taken it as a challenge, nor it could be taken forward as the central government. Otherwise, the farm laws would have been very but for these limitation. And secondly, the transporters are being earmarked for this purpose. Like once this transaction takes place between any farmer from any place of India to any other place in any other part of India, enabling the transportation to this logistic. Why was the question of failure of farmer? only the people like you have come forward, could have perhaps could have become very successful. Unfortunately, farmers have not. Though I must say, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thanks, and I think you asked about this 24 Mantra brand name. There's an interesting story for this. Friend of mine called Rasupe. So initially he suggested this brand name 24-lettered mantra. Then I said, you're kind of crazy to suggest this name because those want to remember such a long name. And I think he had only one point, saying that you will never be rich enough to promote a nice sounding name and advertise enough for people to remember. Is one. And then second, organic is also about certain philosophy. So I think he came up with this term because I think you have this Panchaputas. When you write the Sanskrit words, it reads as Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Anilo, Nabhava, earth, water, fire, and air and ether. And then when you write the Sanskrit words in English, it comes to 24 letters. So what we are saying is there's nothing but nature inside, because we believe all matter is made out of these 5 elements. So that's how I think it got named as 24-lettered mantra. Then it got shortened to 24-lettered mantra because some customer said that ED is making little tongue to road difficult. And I think then we did a customer kind of survey, and then they suggested why don't you make it shorter so that it's easy for us to tell our friends and family. And then so that's how it became finally 24 mantra. So basically we are talking about Panchabhutas, and ultimately what we are saying is there's nothing but nature. So that was the thing. I think Sudhakar Reddy garu asked about this question on how do you ensure that it's genuinely organic. So I think a lot of times this question gets asked, you're doing at such a scale, and is this possible at all to give a genuinely organic product? So what we have done is for a period of time, one is we have found that obviously we can't be successful everywhere. If I go to, let's say, Delta area, East Godavari, West Godavari, doing organic is going to be very difficult because the soils are so bad, and then the farmer can do organic, but the conversion will take about 5 years, 6 years, etc. In fact, Prince Charles, he had a foundation and they were doing a project in Punjab. So obviously they're struggling, and they once invited me saying that, how do we do this? I said it's going to be a struggle because the soils are bad, so much pesticide, etc. being used. It's not that it's a but the conversion period will take a very long time. To get back to normally, in those kind of situations takes 5 to 6 years. So what we have done is, obviously we are a small organization, we can only take some challenges. So we choose areas where usage of inputs, etc. is relatively low. I don't think there's any place where there is bill usage. Everywhere there is usage, it's only a little less or more. And second, what we have found is, and then second is we choose areas which are conducive from the current practices. Because in organic, if you have to build soil fertility, you have to do green manuring, crop rotation with legumes, pulses, green leaf manuring. So those practices are very important. If at least there's a, let's say, some culture, if not all, then it's easy to control. Otherwise, if it is zero, then it's just for a small organization like us, it becomes very difficult. Then the third aspect is what we have found is people in some areas have a more sattvic attitude, farmers. They're more nature friendly, they're more receptive to it, because ultimately beyond a point you can't police. So we select those kind of areas where people are naturally more inclined, let's say whether you call godliness or nature, whatever, and that work. And after that, what we have done is we have set up a 5-level check kind of a thing. One is we form farmers into informal groups, and we say we are going to procure from this group. And if any farmer violates, we expect the group to inform us. Otherwise, if we will anyway discover, if not this year, next year, and the whole group gets penalized, which could be even dropping from the program. So obviously there's social pressure. because no one wants to lose out because one person has not done correctly, etc. Second is for every 250, 300 farmers, we have one of our person stationed at the project site. So we have a daily journey plan, which farmers, how many times he has to visit, etc. And we have app for our executives. Every farm is geotagged, and whenever the person visits, immediately we know when he has visited, what he has done, etc. Third is training is a very important aspect because, in fact, like you said, I don't doubt anyone's integrity because all of us are in this for the right, and I'm sure this thing. But as I said, the farmer also doesn't want to cheat or do unnecessary things. But for him, it is also that 5-acre land, 10-acre land, which is his livelihood. And if something happens, he has to take care of his children and his family, education, so many things. So I don't think any farmer wants to use things unnecessarily. So that's why I think that timely support becomes very important. So if you are there to immediately suggest a practical solution, workable solution, no one will use this. So that's where I think having this people for every 250 farmers visiting at least a few times a week and always being available on phone helps us. The fourth is the certification agency, they do the checks. They don't inspect 100% fine, but they inspect 10-20% based on the risk profile that particular area or crop. And fifth, before we procure, we draw lots. We define the lot size. For chili, it will be 5 tons, 10 tons. For paddy, it is 2, 3, 10, 100 tons. And we test for pesticide residues. So based on the product, it is anywhere between 430 to 512 pesticide residues. Everything has to be zero. Then we test for heavy metals. Then we test for microbiology variables. So I think we are, by and large, following this process, I would say we have been able to manage integrity at 98-99% kind of. So it's kind of working for us. And next level is obviously pushing the app to farmers so that we can even reach even faster in terms of providing them information, interventions, etc. I think one gentleman talked about shelf life. Sorry, madam, you talked about shelf life. So in fact, I think I'm sure you would have had this experiences from a store when you bought initially that a lot of customers would buy and then second day, third day there would be worms in the atta or in the rice. But of course, some of you initial customers were very supportive, saying that we know the problems, so we will support you. And then there are not so much, there were complaints in the sense we will know, but a lot of people would not say we will boycott you or we will not buy your products. So from there, I think it's been a huge learning experience because organic is a big market worldwide. So we were looking at whether we can get some solutions from other countries. But unfortunately, ours is a tropical country and temperate countries, what works there doesn't work there. So it's been a long journey of discovery and then some amount of serendipity, etc. So I remember, initially we got a machine, not a machine, but it's a nitrogen flushing machine from Netherlands, where I think basically we put this in a chamber and then reduce the nitrogen oxygen level to less than 2% or whatever, and then keep it for some time. Any insect is there and all, it dies. So we did that, but it didn't work. Then later on, I think we have developed this what we call cocoon bags. And typically we keep, because normally you do fumigation with chemicals before packing, so that the insects don't happen. So we put in cocoon bags and then we flush carbon dioxide and nitrogen, which are harmless from that perspective, and reduce the oxygen level to less than 2% and keep it for about 15 days. And any insect, if it is there, it dies of suffocation, and if eggs are there, because it's a 15-day cycle, they also hatch and die. And then we clean, grade, and then do it. So this takes about 15 days. That's one of the reasons why the cost also become more. Whereas in a conventional system, every 15 days it's fumigated. They put 15, 20 days, whatever. They put aluminum phosphide or methyl bromide, and then it takes every 24 hours. So one is this method. And then second, what we have done is a lot of contamination happens at the field level. So we work with the farmers to make sure that their bags are hygiene, their storage places, because they might store for 1 month, 2 months, are hygienic. Second is the farm they're using proper methods to harvest. And then we have also identified what is the low risk, high risk, and medium risk materials. Because typically in our case, we have to buy almost the entire requirement for the year within 3 months of harvest, because the farmers don't have the capacity to hold the material. They need cash. So we have to buy it. So based on the risk assessment, what we have also done is certain risky where the infestation is likely to be higher or the quality deterioration is faster, we put in cold storages. So typically that also increases our cost. Because otherwise, once the infestation happens, it's very difficult to run. So a lot of these methods over a period of, so it's no one, I would say, single point in this thing. It's a multiple small steps across the entire value chain, right from sowing the seed to doing this. We have been able to, today we actually give more shelf life than conventional. And second is atta and all. People, if you look at your dal, what you buy in the market, a lot of times they add water and mineral oil. We don't add anything. So basically, of course, the traditional basic principles are: one is your moisture control. If your moisture in grains is less than 10%, your shelf life is good. And second is things come processed things like jams, etc. So primarily they measure your spice levels, your acidity, alkaline nature. So that balance plays a role in preserving the products. And I think, as I said again, we are a small team, but they're continuously working every day. We get complaints, we get flags, and then based on that, keep on working. By and large, today we don't have much of a problem. Earlier, we used to have huge number of complaints. Today, perhaps in a month, we get 1 or 2 complaints.
I think the consumer rupee that goes to the producer.
Yeah, so I think there are 2 things to it. One is, I think, what you have a consumer price, and then second is a price which we realize, because you have an MRP, and what we realize is the MRP minus the GST minus the commission we are paying to the retailer.
So 40% is gone.
Yeah, 40% is gone. Out of the 60%, I think the farmer realizes anywhere between 50 to 60%.
So they get a little more. Lunchtime lo అంటే ప్రాఫిట్ లో మళ్ళీ ఏమైనా ప్రాఫిట్ షేరింగ్ ఉంటుంది అంటున్నారు. I think
today I think we are just head above water. We are still not making much money.
Breaking even
After 20 years.
But definitely when we start making good money, we will definitely like to share.
I think we're all in a rush for lunch.
Yeah.
So we can discuss some of those over lunch if you like. Yeah, sure.
So I guess the panelists online, I don't know if they have any comments to make. But I must say, there is a point here which says summarizing. I don't think any human being can do summarizing of these very powerful, experience-based, innovative marketing approaches taken. Each of them are unique, and I like the way I think the forum have come together. In terms of women-led, technology-led, entrepreneur-led, collective-led. So I think those kind of initiatives. But in all of them, there is a farmer at the center of it, and not as just as a producer, but as one who is taking responsibility for the marketing. So I really want to mention that it has been a very illuminating, though it kind of got a bit stretched, but very powerful story experiences. So I think Kalamani seems to have the job of thanking. But yeah, please, Kalamani. So I am not doing any summarization, but I think the good thing about this memorial event is now that it's on YouTube Live, it will be available for posterity. So anyone who has not attended the event can watch it at their leisure. So we will share the link and it can be widely circulated. I know in today's post-COVID situation, we are flooded with information. But I think, I found very, very inspiring all the 4 speakers. And I hope we will work on some kind of a practical action plan on how do we work together for the benefit of the farmers. Over.
Actually, I have noted down some points for summarizing.
Please do, yeah.
No, all of them are working with small and marginal farmers. And also in the area where it can be possible. And farmers are mobilized into collectives. And they're all working with those collectives. And the path is not so smooth, it's very challenging. But any path is challenging. In life, nothing is easy, and we'll never have an easy path. Always challenges are there. And the farmers, they need very close support in the form of inputs or advisory services, marketing, or whatever it is. They need very, very close support. Then only the challenging path can become less challenging. And it will never, there will be any challenge. And it can be less challenging and we can move forward. And today there are many reasons why where the farmers are converting to organic farming and consumers also converting to consuming organic products, health reasons, environment reasons, lot of awareness on what we are eating, and we need to keep our natural resources, we cannot damage, future generation has to depend on. There are a lot of reasons, and incidents like a COVID pandemic, or though it created a lot of hurdles, but there are a lot of learnings also. Unless we face such situations, we don't seem to be learning. So COVID has resulted in that learning, that our lifestyles need to be healthy and our eating habits need to be healthy. So a lot of learning, and it's all very inspiring speech from all of you. And in this digital era, technology era, we cannot get away with technology. And we are all using technology in many ways. So in this, how do we enable farmers to convert from conventional to organic farming in a sustainable manner? Because we have experienced that farmers, they start natural farming or organic farming for a few years, and again they get back to chemical farming. So how does this happen in a sustainable manner? That's very, very important. Whenever we go to field, when we discuss with the farmers, the first question is, we don't have market. We don't have price. We are selling our natural farming products or other products in the same market. There is no difference in prices. That is the first thing we hear. And also the next demand or expectation from farmers is availability of inputs. And then the information related to markets. I think there are many aspects we need to work with the farmers and enable them to aware of many aspects. And Mr. Vivek told how do we profile the farmers, and not just their name, but the land type, soil type, crop, what they are cultivating, what inputs are provided to the crops. And exactly what they are doing needs to be transparent. I think it's a very huge, challenging task, but this will lead to traceability and building confidence and trust among the consumers. So we also need to work with the consumers. That's what we are learning from Mr. Raj, whatever we have said. And India being a diverse country, there is no one way. There is a mountain area, there is a delta area, there is a drought area. It's a diverse, full of diversity. So we need to, how do we need to cope up to address those diverse differences. Today, all of you gave us really a hope. in moving forward and taking this journey to a scale, and hope all of us, if we join together, nothing is impossible, and hope things will be possible, and we will be able to eat healthy food, provide healthy products to the consumers, keep our environment safe, and ensure our earth or our nature, intact for the next generation. So with these few words, I thank all the speakers. And from all of you, we learned different points. So it's a unique, every experience was unique, very important. So from all of us, on behalf of AP Mass and on behalf of Madam Ray and our board members, we thank you all the speakers. And we hope and we must work together. It's not that it should end with this event, and how do we work together and how do we journey together, that we look forward to that. And also I thank all the friends and all the colleagues and all the well-wishers who came today and participated in this event. Thank you all. And also I would like to thank my team like Ligita and also Vasanthi sitting behind, and also many others who helped in identifying the right speakers. Madam was giving also a lot of suggestions, and so thanks to everyone, and let us continue the journey together. So thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Let's eat some. Like I've been thinking for a long time. I know you also maybe you have to run the business at the same time.